Youth justice in America. Why it matters and what we can do. Every night in the United States, tens of thousands of young people are locked up away from their families, their schools, and their futures. Some are housed in correctional style facilities. Some are even put in adult jails. This is a real crisis that affects real lives, real families, and even the future of entire communities. Today we're talking about youth justice. What it is, how we got here, why it matters, and how you can make things better. The idea of a separate youth justice system in the US began more than a century ago during the Progressive Era. Before that, kids were persecuted and punished just like adults, sometimes even spending time with hardened criminals. At the turn of the 20th century, juvenile courts were created to rehabilitate youth rather than punish them. Over the decades, lawmakers have passed reforms to protect youth, including the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Protection Act in 1974. This set national standards for the first time on how children should be treated in the youth justice system. There have also been modern policy changes in 2017, such as the Raise the Age laws. These laws increased the age of criminal responsibility, so more 16 and 17-year-olds were treated in youth court rather than adult court. Also around this time, laws around youthful offender status were created. These laws allow young people to avoid permanent criminal records and affords them better opportunities later in life. These ideas reflect that young people are young and that they deserve second chances when they're still developing. Over the last few decades, the US has actually made significant progress. Youth arrests and incarcerations have fallen dramatically. Between 2000 and 2023, the number of youth staying in juvenile facilities dropped nearly 75%. Despite the decline, far too many youth are still locked up, and racial disparities are still extremely evident. In 2023, Black youth were 5 times as likely to be incarcerated in juvenile facilities compared to white youth. Most youth aren't arrested for violent criminal offenses. Violent criminal offenses only make up less than 9% of all juveniles staying in juvenile correction facilities. However, youth still face major consequences when it comes to their health, their education, and future opportunities. While reforms like Raise the Age have shifted how teens are treated, debates continue about these policies, mostly on how to best balance community safety with youth development and fairness. So here's the most important part. What can you do? One of the most important things that you can do personally is learn who your local state representatives are. You can find out who these people are and contact them relatively easily. All of their names and all of their information is on state legislature websites. If you live in New York, you can actually do some really important work by contacting your state representatives about 2 very important bills floating around. One of these bills is the right to remain silent. It's a pretty big bill that protects youth during police interrogations. This would make Miranda rights clearer and guarantee that both parents and guardians are notified when a child is in custody, and make sure that youth have proper legal counsel before talking to police. Another one of these huge bills is the Youth Justice and Opportunities Act. This would expand the protections of the youth offender status, create a new designation of young adult status that protects people aged 19 to 25. It also caps sentences. This would also give judges more options for alternatives to incarceration, allowing young adults to more easily get back into the flow of normal everyday life. These bills are designed to reduce harm, give youth second chances, and keep them connected to education and community. You may be asking yourself at this point, David, why do you care? Well, I've personally went up to the state capitol in Albany and talked with state senators and assembly people on getting these bills passed. I've stood on the $1 million staircase protesting for bills like YJNO and the right to remain silent. These are bills that affect youth like me and you. I've done this with many local coalitions like the Citizens Committee for Children and the Bronx Defenders. The youth justice system was created as a more compassionate alternative to the adult court system. However, it doesn't really turn up that way. While youth incarceration has increased significantly, racial disparities and harmful practices still persist. If you care about fairness and opportunities for all young people, don't wait. Find your local representatives and contact them to support bills like youth justice and opportunities, as well as the right to remain silent. Share this video with people that you know to spread awareness about this issue. Below, I've added a link to a Google Doc that has more information about both of these bills, links to find your state legislators, and formatting on what emails to send to them. I hope that all the resources I've provided you with can help us build a more just and fair youth justice system.